You know what I mean? You're putting away the laundry and you notice his phone face down on the dresser again. Or you're trying to tell her about your disastrous day and you get that distant like you're talking through a pane of glass. It's that gut feeling, that tiny cold knot in your stomach that whispers something is off. You brush it off, right? You tell yourself you're being paranoid. It's just stress. He's just tired. She's just busy. But that feeling, it doesn't really go away. It just gets quieter and more clever at hiding. Believe it or not, that feeling is often the first silent sign your partner is losing interest. It is the beginning of that emotional distance that feels like a mile-wide chasm in your own living room. And in today's world, that chasm has a superhighway straight to it: cheating websites. Let me be perfectly honest with you. This isn't about shaming anyone. My goal here, as someone who's spent years studying why we do the things we do, is to pull back the curtain, to understand the psychology so we can protect what we love. Because these sites, they're not just random bad luck. They're multi-million-dollar engines built to exploit the very cracks in our relationships. Just between you and me, the numbers are staggering. Ashley Madison alone boasts 80 million users. That's 80 million people, the majority of them men, who felt that same distance and took a specific calculated action to fill it. Their parent company made over $115 million last year. Let that sink in. That's a $115 million industry funded by our relationship problems, our lack of communication, and our intimacy issues. So what's really going on here? Why does a seemingly happy husband or a devoted wife end up scrolling through profiles on a site designed for affairs? The psychology is rarely about just sex. It's almost always about an emotional vacancy. It's about seeking validation, a sense of novelty, or an escape from the pressures of daily life. It's someone feeling unseen, unheard, or unappreciated at home, and discovering a seemingly low-risk, high-reward solution to numb that pain. These sites sell a fantasy, the promise of connection without complication, of intimacy without the hard work. But it's a trapdoor, not an escape hatch. I remember a couple I spoke to, let's call them Mark and Sarah. Sarah felt Mark pulling away for months. The classic signs were there. He was working late constantly. He'd get defensive over tiny things. Their physical intimacy had become a ghost of what it was. She chalked it up to stress, to her not being enough. She was frantically searching things like how to fix a relationship and ways to bring the spark back, blaming herself. The real issue. Mark felt immense pressure as the sole breadwinner. He felt like a failure, and instead of communicating that vulnerability, that insecurity to his wife, he confided in a sympathetic woman from his gym. That emotional affair, that secret intimacy, quickly escalated into plans to meet on one of these sites. He wasn't looking for another person. He was looking for a version of himself that felt competent and desired again. His story isn't an excuse, it's a diagnosis. It shows us that the antidote to this isn't a T just monitoring your partner's browser history. It's about vigilantly guarding the emotional health of your marriage. The strongest firewall against cheating websites isn't a password. It's a profound, open, and relentless commitment to communication. So, if you're feeling that distance, what do you do? How do you start saving your relationship when you're dealing with silence? First, get curious, not furious. Instead of, why are you always on your phone? Try, you seem really engrossed in something on there lately. Everything okay? It's about uncovering the why behind the action. Second, initiate the vulnerability you want to see. I know it's terrifying. If you're feeling insecure, say it. I know this might sound silly, but I've been feeling a little disconnected lately and I miss you. This isn't about accusing them, it's about inviting them back in. You're modeling the emotional intelligence in relationships that builds bridges. Third, remember your love languages. And I'm not just talking about the book, I'm talking about the tiny, everyday dialects of love. The coffee made just how they like it. The 5 minutes of full attention when they're talking, phone put away. The hug that lasts a second longer than usual. These are the bricks that rebuild connection. At the end of the day, these websites prey on isolation. They monetize our fear of being vulnerable. The most radical, powerful thing you can do to protect your marriage is to fight that isolation with everything you've got. To choose to reconnect with your partner, even when it's awkward. Especially when it's awkward. This isn't about fixing them. It's about choosing to show up fully and authentically and creating a space where they feel safe to do the same. It's about saving your relationship by first saving the lines of communication. I guess what I'm trying to say is, your gut feeling, that's your first and best defense. Listen to it. Nurture your connection like the precious living thing it is, because you and your relationship are worth far more than a cheap fantasy sold for a few credits on a website. If this resonated with you, if you felt that distance and fought to close it, I'd be so grateful if you'd share your story in the comments below. Let's build a community here that supports each other. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest talks about navigating this wild, beautiful and complicated thing we call love.